week. Phil Coley here with my weekly podcast. I'm sure wherever you are in the world, you might be sweltering, particularly if you are in the UK and Europe at the moment. It is pretty warm, and I've even got rid of the waistcoat today because it is so warm here in my studio. But welcome to this great podcast. And today, and thank you so much for the feedback from every single podcast that I'm putting out. It's great that you're following, and it's great that you're interacting with me as well and sending me some great direct messages. So really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And don't forget to head onto the website. Lots of courses on there as well. I'm releasing another course in a couple of weeks, so look out for that one as well. Today I'm going to be talking about affiliates, and this is a great topic to talk about, and one that has highs and lows in terms of using affiliates. So affiliates is a great way to sell your goods, products or services through a third party. It's very commonplace, and we certainly see that in the world of e-commerce, but you can also use it in whatever industry you're in as well. You can work with affiliates who will sell your product or service, and vice versa. You can do the same as well. Now there's lots of different ways around this, and there's also things where you can start to look at licensed products. There's lots of different things, but I'm purely just looking at affiliates today. So affiliates where they can sell your product or vice versa. And the use of affiliates is really good if you want to increase your reach and increase your sales. But of course you do need to give away some commission, and vice versa. If you take on the role of being an affiliate, you can sell on something and you get a commission for that. So it's a great way to increase revenue whichever way round that you do it. You can see affiliate schemes work really well in e-commerce, as I said, but you can also see them work really well for your own business. So if you're looking at this going, well, how does that work for me? Think about who you sell to and what other products they buy that you don't supply. And when you think about that, you've got a really good client base, but somebody else might have a really good client base, and you can go, well, maybe we can partner up together to sell my product to that audience, and I can sell your product to my audience, etc. And that's the way to start to look at this. Now, you can do it on a small scale. You can do it locally in terms of a small scale. And let's give you a really good example. So let's give you an example of somebody has a riding stable. So you can go to a riding stable where you can either keep your horses, you can go and have lessons, you can go and take part in competitions. The key thing there, it revolves around the rider and the horse. So everybody has a need. So the horses obviously have a need for feed, they have a need for shelter, they have a need for exercise. The rider has a need again for equipment, and also for taking part in competitions and ease. So when you look at that riding stable may or may not have a shop. Some do, some don't. But if you're a riding stable and you don't have a shop, you could have a really good website that shows off what you do, but you could sell products where you get a commission off the back of it. You don't have to have a shop, you don't have to have physical products. You can have a website where you are selling in terms of what is called drop ship. So you could drop ship, and therefore you could be selling riding equipment, hats, and anything that goes along with that, and you get a commission off those sales. Those commissions can vary between 5% to 20%. They can be high, they can be low, it just depends in terms of what you're doing. But people will look for that kind of affiliate link, and it's a good way to increase some revenue. Now, you could be using a local supplier of riding equipment, and again you could have a link with them where they say, right, here's a great riding school, you can take part in the competitions. They do livery, which is the looking after the horses, and again you could have a commission coming off the back of that. So it's a very simple example, but if we looked say in machinery sales, in machinery sales what you could look at, you say, right, I've got this machine, I sell it into a certain industry, and within that industry they probably have a need for other things, not just the things that my machine does in terms of all the consumables that go alongside it, but they may well have another need in that manufacturing sector with another machine, another type of oil, another type of finish, whatever it is. You could look to be an affiliate and vice versa. So in some ways you can think about affiliates as being pure transactional. You can also think about them as partnerships, and it's really interesting when you look at that partnership model. And this is where I come on to the pros and cons. So affiliates, the pros are you can increase your revenue, you can increase your target market overnight. So that's a really big pro, is you can partner up, you can be an affiliate, whatever you want to be doing, but if you do it two ways, then somebody has got access not to your data but to your database, in terms of you will control that, but they've got access to a new market, and you've also got an access to their market. The cons, of course, with these are making sure the person you do the affiliate with is trustworthy and actually they represent your brand correctly, and also that they are committed. And that's one of the things I always find with affiliates is you've got to be committed both ways to make this work. Otherwise, you get a situation where one person's doing really well and the other person isn't, and so it's just not to everyone's benefit. So affiliate schemes can work really, really well, and I find they're really useful in service and solution, particularly work really, really well, because you've got a really clear market you're targeting, and you can test as well, and you can test in different ways. But I certainly think that you should be looking at how you could work with affiliates, and there are different models. The whole e-commerce world for affiliates is a very different model. It's much more transactional, it's much more go onto website and sign up, and all of those elements work alongside that. But if we go to the other side and we start to look in the B2B setting, B2B is much more about partnerships, and you can forge some really clear partnerships that aids everybody. And I think that's what's really important in affiliates is don't be afraid to talk to somebody that targets the same people as you, that is not a competitor, to say maybe we could collaborate, maybe we could do some joint promotions. It's about working smarter, not harder. And so when you look at affiliates, that gives you that real ability to do that. And for me, I work with affiliates all the time from both sides. I'm working with people who are selling my programs, and I also then work with others where we are selling some of the services they do to our clients and our customers. Well, why wouldn't we? And even in our own business group, you know, we've got a sales and marketing agency alongside an accounting firm that specializes in bookkeeping and payroll. Why don't we tell our customers about that? Why don't we do cross referrals, I suppose, but it is an affiliate scheme because we always make sure that it weighs up against it. So think about those that you work with. Now, many of you will have a great business network, and think about those that you get on really well with and go, hey, should we have a look at doing some affiliate schemes together? Let's see how we could make something work together where we all benefit. The benefit doesn't always need to be financial, but it's nice that it is financial, particularly as you're growing a business, because it gives you an additional income stream, so it increases your revenue. But it can be about a partnership where you're cross-promoting, and sometimes those work just as well, where you're promoting one person, they're promoting the other, and actually you gain business through a softer way. Now, a good example of that could be a photographer and a videographer, where they exchange and they say, actually, I don't do video, but I work in partner with somebody else, and cross-referral that way. But again, you need to be really clear that you don't have too many cross-referral partners, because you dilute it and therefore the relationship then may not work. So affiliates are great, but you really do have to work at them. You have to measure it. You have to monitor it, is definitely one of the things I would say. And then you need to see how does that monetize itself. And it can be in new leads, it can be an actual addition to your bottom line, but you need to look at that. So affiliates, to me, as part of your sales strategy, is really key. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a startup or a scale up, you can use affiliates really, really well to help spread the word, get more sales in, actually reach further people that you've ever been able to do before. And you can think about it, and particularly in this day and age now where we've come through COVID, but actually the world has become a much smaller place, is I'm selling programs in the US, I'm selling them in Australia and New Zealand, I'm selling them across Europe, probably going into markets I've never got into before, and that's because I'm working on some really clever affiliates and clever partnerships as well to make it work, and it works for everybody involved. So go and think about how you could do some affiliates or some partnerships, but very much about affiliates. Think about the pros and cons. Can it work for you? But why don't you this week at least reach out to 2 people to go, hey, do you fancy doing an affiliate? How can we work together for mutual benefit? Enjoy the rest of your week and join me again next week.